Welcome to Speedrunner Showcase, the Marble It Up talk show with a little less conversation and a little more action. Welcome, we are joined today by a very special guest who has set the new world record for Marble It Up Classic, J22.
Hello, I'm J2. I speedrun this game as well as some other games, including my favorite platformer, Blue Kid. And what else have I been up to? I'm about to start my first full-time job soon, so that's pretty cool.
Cool.
And what else I've been doing? I started reading One Piece a couple weeks ago. That's been fun. And yeah, I've been doing some full game runs.
Nice. Yeah, J2, you've been doing full game runs for sure, and yeah, you set the new world record, and we're gonna be watching that very soon. So like, oh man, there's so many things I want to talk about, but let's start watching, and we'll see where it goes from there. Okay, so this is the beginning of J2's run on Learn Your Role, as always. And yeah, you're the new world record holder for Marble Up. That makes you the king of jump and roll, right?
You could say that.
You could say that. Yeah, I did. And like, this run is so good. I'm all shook up.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly has a good early game here, that's for sure. Actually, chapter 1 was a bit rough, I think.
Chapter 1's a bit rough. That's okay. We'll enjoy watching this video. So tell me, when you got started, when you were doing these runs, when did this happen? What were you doing at the time? Any practice? What were you trying to do?
Yeah, so I was, well, like whenever I come back from like long break, I always do some like a run of each chapter, or like at least one day of like attempts to try to get like a PB if I can.
Right.
Just to like kind of ease back into it. So I started out with that, and then I was just playing full game a lot because I actually got this, like, I was going on vacation the next week after like this day, so I really wanted to get it before I went on vacation, ideally. So I got on the last day before then.
Yeah, that was really cool timing that you managed to get that out before your vacation. Shows that you were really dedicated to it. For any viewers who might not have met you before, J2, of course, has been part of our speedrunning community for a while now. You're a speedrun moderator. You've been kind of involved with the speedrun community. Tell us a little bit maybe about your history with Marble It Up.
Yeah, so like a lot of people, I was a Marble Blast Gold player. I used to play it. I remember playing with my brother on the family computer back in the day when we were kids.
Nice.
So when I heard about this game, I was obviously excited for it and looking forward to the release. And then yeah, so I had a Switch, so I played it when the initial Switch release happened. And I enjoyed it, and then I was already into speedrunning at that point, so I wanted to do some like full game runs then, back when there were only 4 chapters. So I did that for a little bit. Probably like, a week or two. I didn't go super hard, but got a decent run for the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, back then it was very different strat-wise though. Like, even the world record didn't have like stuff like Coggers that is, pretty standard fare today.
Yeah, very, very different strat-wise. So I did a little bit of math, specifically for your PB back from when the Switch release was the official category. And you did it in 26:54, and the equivalent for this run would be 16:10. So almost 11 minutes faster is what you're able to do now on the same levels.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy for just a 27-minute run.
Yeah, right? Crazy how much the game has progressed, and crazy how much you've progressed as well.
Yeah. There's been a lot of strats found, obviously, but also I've improved a lot. One thing I remember being a strat that I always go for is Gordian edge hit, and kind of the reason why I've always gone for that is because I remember back then seeing Safara's run and him hitting that, and I just thought that was crazy to do in a run. So once I got good enough that I could actually get it sometimes. I just knew I had to go for it.
Yeah, and one thing I think is really cool is that you're actually the only active runner in the game who was playing RTA back before the challenge update, and even as early on as 2018. So that's really, really cool.
Yeah, I certainly never thought I would be this competitive back then.
You've come a long way since your speedruns of Zuzu Pets and all of those speedrunning days.
Hey, don't be disrespecting Zuzupet. It's a solid platformer.
I know you've told me went back and watched the first Speedrunner showcase you were on, and you're telling me about your Zuzu Pets runs and how it's got like all these deep mechanics. And honestly, I laughed a lot while I was watching it back, but I believe you. I went back and I even watched one of your runs. It's
Yeah.
it's entertaining.
I mean, just the main thing about it is like for like a kid's platformer, like the hamster moves fast when it's running. It makes the platforming pretty precise at times.
Looks like it's got some momentum, yeah. But yeah, now you're not just like a world record contender, but a world record holder for the most competitive category in this game, which is super, super, super cool. Yeah. So yeah, going on with your Marble It Up history, I guess.
Yeah. So after after initially playing it, I kind of got back to it. I took a break, and when when they came out with Chapter 4, I went back and played it some more. Then I didn't end up doing any full game runs then, so I don't have any runs during that era of 5 chapters. But I just I got all the diamond times for Chapter 4 and stuff. But then when the challenge update came again, that was when I got back into full game, and that was when I first like back when the Switch released, I didn't know about the Discord at all. So I think when the challenge update happens when I first joined the Discord, but I wasn't really like active there then.
Yeah,
but then
your most of your messages started, I think, in like 2021, even though you were around since 2018, 2019. So for a while, there was a lot of people who didn't even really know who you were, and now you're like one of the core members of the community, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a weird thing because like I like knew of a lot of the community members before they would knew who I was, I suppose. So I never was like, oh well, who are all these new people? Because I'd looked at the Discord before at times.
Yeah, because I went back and I watched the first Speedrunner showcase that you were on, which was like the second Speedrunner showcase like ever, because it was early days. You had I think a 46. What was it? Yeah, like 46 minutes or more. So like 15 minutes slower than this run, which is also really cool in itself. But yeah, like not like people were coming to the chat, they didn't know who you were. But like just because you hadn't been super active in the community at the time. Spakai came in and claimed that you were one of his alt accounts. It was amazing. I if you haven't watched that back ever, then I recommend you do that, because it's really entertaining. Not only to be able to see what your old speedruns are like and how much progress you've made, but also just like how much things have changed since then in terms of the community and the and your place in it.
Yeah, that's like one of the things that really like gave me motivation, because like so like when the challenge update first came out, I did a run. I think like I practiced a bunch, but then I only did like 1 or 2 runs maybe for whatever reason. So I got like I got my first one was like just over an hour, and then I got sub hour, but then I like didn't play for a long time, even though I'd like probably spent a good like 2 or 3 weeks of just practicing strats and learning stuff, and then I just didn't do many runs. I don't know, that was weird behavior. I don't know why I did that. But then yeah, when I came back in like 2021, or like I guess it was I started in 2020, I think, probably, maybe, I don't know. But yeah. So yeah, then like I got sub 50 pretty quick because I did a bunch more practicing beforehand, and then I kind of posted that in the Discord on a whim, and then like people were like really impressed with how quickly I was improving, I guess, and that kind of gave me a lot of motivation to keep going. But I think I kind of it was probably due to me having a lot more practice compared to runs than the typical runner. But nonetheless, I was still, the kind words meant a lot to me, and I enjoyed keep going and pushing the time lower.
Yeah, and you've pushed it. Now you've pushed the the entire game forward with this new record, which is really, really cool. If you're watching, you probably noticed we're not really commenting too much on the run. A lot of things are going to happen in this run, but it's also sort of uneventful because, spoiler alert, this run is completely deathless. It's only the second run ever to accomplish that. And as we get further into the late game and start seeing crazier and crazier tricks, it gets even more impressive as you see that. And yeah, so we'll get back to the whole deathless thing, but absolutely want to keep hearing about your Marble Up experience and everything like that.
Yeah, and I'd also never like streamed before until people said, you know, as I was posting my PBs and getting lower, people were like, "Oh, you should stream your attempts so we can watch."
Yep.
And you know, that's obviously I probably would not have, you know, kept attempting as much as I have without streaming it. It makes it a lot more enjoyable.
It's a great motivator.
When the runs get more grindy, for sure.
Yep. Speaking of grind, looks like you have over 3,000 attempts here and 165 completions just on these splits alone. So shows you've been putting in the time and the effort.
We're coming up to the first major mistake here in the run.
Okay.
I just jumped there when you just don't jump there, and then I fell down here.
Yeah, lucky there's that extra path down there to save the deathless. Otherwise this would be an unfortunate unfortunate miss for that to be your only death and run, man. That would really suck.
Yeah, and I don't even know why I made that mistake. That's not something I usually would do. Because you just, there are places to die on Braid, but you can either like brush that rock or miss like the final rocket. But
we've both been around long enough to know that mistakes can happen anywhere.
Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of rare to have a mistake that doesn't kill you on Braid with that round, I feel like. So kind of lucky for the deathless run, I suppose.
Yeah. So on top of you know, speedrunning and you know, being a speedrun moderator, and we've done some commentary together on the Super Bowl this year. That was cool. And you've also been known for making some custom levels. Any custom levels that you've made that you're really proud of, or that you wanna share?
Yeah. So my custom levels probably fall into two categories where I really like playing challenging levels, so I tend to make a lot like that. So among my normal levels, my favorite might be Leaky Pipes, which is just kind of like a half pipe level. It was one of my earlier levels, but I still really like it.
Okay.
And then, you know, among my challenge levels, only for experienced players, well, I don't know. I like Flight School a lot. That's just my favorite physics modifiers in the game.
Flight
and
School,
I wanted to make a that pushes it to its limits.
Now, did you? Am I right about this? Did you make Hell Train with your brother?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So Chunk Nola is G2's brother. If anybody doesn't know, that's a fairly well-known level as well.
Yeah, so I got him into level building kind of. Well, he was also a fan, so he'd played Marveled Up before.
Right.
But I was told like, oh yeah, you should try out this level building, and kind of got him, you know, walked him through getting the process started.
Oh, that's really cool you were doing that.
But it was actually his idea to make the Hell Train level, or you know, series of cars. It's based on a webcomic we both like called Tower of God. There's a Hell Train that is an arc in the comic. It's just like a massive train with a bunch of challenges on it, which was kind of it makes sense why we made the level like it is, knowing that.
Very cool. Yeah, I didn't know that. I've definitely heard of that manhwa, but I'm not. I haven't read anywhere near that far. But very cool that you got that inspiration. You turned it into a famous level in Marvel Up. Yeah. What else? Are there any other like speedruns or speed games that you've gotten into? We've already mentioned Suzu Pets. You mentioned Blue Kid. Where did you get started in speedrunning? What inspired you to start speedrunning? And you know, kind of what's your speedrunning experience been?
Yeah, so I kind of so I got started with uh, the speedrun for Super Mario World, and kind of it was around the time when they first discovered like the cloud glitch. So there's kind of a lot of activity and content being made about the run at that point in time.
Right.
And I'd always liked Mario, so that kind of got me interested in speedrunning though as a concept.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my first speedrun. I mean, I wasn't or I was playing on like Wii or like Wii Virtual Console, so I don't even think you can do the cloud glitch on there. So I couldn't do that, but I probably wouldn't be able to do it anyway. But I still did the
Oh,
run, and
okay. Yeah.
it was kind of caused by that glitch being discovered to some degree.
That's a fun run to
Then
watch. I like that category.
yeah, it's now the world record's crazy. They just do like the mid-air shell jumping in and all kinds of crazy stuff. Or now there's like a clip through the staircase and like the Boo house. I don't even know. They do some wild stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then kind of stuck to Mario for a bit. I did New Super Mario Bros. Wii was the second game I speedrun, I think.
Okay.
And that was just a game I'd played a lot in my childhood. And I actually saw a GDQ speedrun for it, which is what inspired me to pick up the speedrun for it, though.
I remember that run.
Cool. Yeah, and because I saw them like in like that like there's a big auto scroller over like Poison where you're like riding a little like raft with and like Koopas and Goombas fall from the sky onto you, and then there's like a cool skip where they just like use the helicopter to like go across all the platforms in the sky, and I just thought that was super cool. But I did try to learn that trick, but it is actually quite hard, so I don't think I did it in my runs at that time, but it inspired me to pick up the game for speedrunning nonetheless. Much like the cloud glitch, which I also didn't learn.
But I like these inspirations though, because I'm sure there's a lot of things that I watch in speedrunning that I just, I think I probably have similar stories with like Zelda Skyward Sword and a few other things of like, yeah, I saw people doing great things and I never actually did them, but they made me want to play.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you've played a lot of speed games, various speed games, all over your speedrun.com page. But I don't think you've played anything quite as much as this game.
No, this is certainly my most intensive, amount of time by a large margin.
Well, what would you say if you had to estimate like your total hours played in the game, but like specifically as well for RTA?
I don't know. Well, I probably have at least like 300 hours on Switch, and I think probably like the vast majority of that time was RTA practice. Even though I didn't do a lot of runs, I did a lot of practice at that time.
Okay.
And then, once I got on Steam, I initially got it on Steam to play custom levels, but I played some custom levels, and then I kind of took a break from the game for a while. And then when I came back, that was when I was doing runs on. I think I did my initial 6 chapter runs on Steam also, but that was when I started putting a lot more hours on Steam. And then like during that time, it was like during like COVID, and I was just kind of stuck in my dorm. We couldn't even have like guests over, so I had nothing to do. It was like cold out, so it wasn't really fun to go outside even just to walk around. So I just played Marvel Up all day.
Nice. Can we watch this Stain ending one more time here?
Yeah, so if I got the normal ending, it might not have been world record, I guess, here.
That is actually crazy to think that the margin of your world record is less than the amount you saved by getting that edge hit.
Yeah,
that is so funny.
That was also saying where if I pulled back enough to not hit the edge, I would have had not enough spin to make it. So that was
right. You needed the edge hit in order to make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. That is super funny.
I sadly missed Gordian edge hit though.
Yes.
Can't have them both.
Spoilers. Come on, man. Spoilers.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, I was saying earlier, Hatchet. So Hatchet obviously held the previous world record that this one beat, and you had a 34-minute and 53-second time. So you were about more than 2 minutes behind at the time. So, but that was like, I guess like a year and a half ago almost. But at what point did you kind of start to realize that maybe you had a chance of being able to beat that record? Because you started grinding for this somewhat recently to really, really take the record.
Yeah, so back when Hatchet set the record, I certainly didn't think I was on that level then. Then the 2022 Super Bowl, when I was like getting warmed up, I was just doing like a ton of races for it. And then, I started getting some really good runs after. I mean, it took a while because like I said, normally I'd like try to do some chapter runs to get back to it, but then I was just doing races. So it was really fun. There was like Elemental Phoenix was racing. There was like a lot of people like Draenoth.
Yeah, we've had some races too.
So eventually I just started getting on some really good paces, and then I just started PBing like really dropping down the time and just getting PBs like crazy, which was kind of like like the big obstacle in PBs is obviously like the nerves you get in chapter 6, but then I kind of just like for that period I just had almost like no nerves in chapter 6 because I was like, well, I'm just getting on, I'm just doing races and getting on good runs, so if I mess up I'll just have a good run next run. And I just kept PBing, and then until I got to the 32-minute range, and then it started being like actually pretty hard to PB again. But at that point, I got a low 32 not too long after that, and then I was like, okay, well now I'm like seriously close to the world record, and then I thought I might be able to do it, but I still wasn't. I don't know. It's hard to have confidence in doing something like that, I guess.
Sure. I mean, it's a difficult feat for anybody to do, right? Just to reach that level, but you managed to do it, which is really cool. Is there anything that you particularly enjoy about this category, or anything that kind of sticks out in your mind as anything that you don't enjoy quite as much?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, this game just has so many, cool skips and strats. It's just non-stop action when you're doing the run, really, which is what makes it an exciting run in general. And, as far as, like, RTA versus ILs, I feel like, like a long RTA run just has a certain, like, level of, like, anticipation building throughout the run, and, intense nerves at the end that you just can't quite get with, like, the short IL runs. Where it's either, like, you're doing some level where you don't even know if you got a good time until you're in the goal, or you hit some hard trick and then you get, your heart rate spikes for like 5 seconds and then the run ends. But RTA, you need to maintain it for much longer.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. It's exciting, and I really find it's fun to watch as well. For exactly the same reasons why it's fun to play.
Yeah, it's certainly a great like streaming activity where doing an IL over and over again can get somewhat boring to watch on a stream at times. But RTA is like always fun to watch, I feel like.
Yeah, and speaking of watching, you ever go back and watch your old runs, or anything
I
like that?
have not really in Marble It Up. I don't think I've really watched. I don't know, maybe I have at some point, but not for a long time at least.
Okay.
But I was thinking of looking back at like one of my really, first runs to see how far I'd come visually. Would be kind of cool though.
It's definitely an experience. I've done it a few times with some of my like very old PBs like years ago, and it's funny to think like, oh, just jump and then you'll be fine, but then I don't. And it's
Yeah, knowing that when
it's
just,
weird
like,
watching
small
yourself though.
things.
It definitely is. Definitely weird watching yourself. But there's anyone else that you've been watching in RTA or otherwise that you think is someone to watch out for?
Yeah, well, for RTA, not a ton of people been playing. I think like Fixable did a stream not too long ago where he ran some, and then Elemental Phoenix not super recently, but maybe a month or two ago he did a stream of it. But I think there's a lot of people that have the potential to improve, get some good times in RTA. It just depends on who really feels like putting the time into the category, because it is kind of a grind to compete at the top level for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. But yeah, you've been on the grind, and you got this run here on Danger Zone, 16 seconds ahead of your old PB. This isn't the fastest pace that you were ever on at this point in the run. You're about 5 seconds behind that, but
Yeah.
this is still a pretty exceptional run for you up to this point.
Yeah, not far off at all. And like, when I get to chapter 6, 15 seconds ahead, it's like, okay, I know I have like a really good shot. Because I can, I probably have about 15 seconds to save if I play it super optimally. So if I come there even, it's like, I can't get world record, but I have to play pretty much perfect. But, with this kind of leeway, I'm like, okay, there's actually a realistic chance. So that's when you kind of get really nervous here, and which kind of leads to a little mishap. where I missed a gem earlier in this level, which caused me to have to do a backup there, and then I kind of missed the second wall gem because I forgot that you have a little less speed when you do the backup, so you want to jump a bit later.
Right.
Because normally, you can jump early or late, but if you jump late, it's kind of a bit awkwarder to get down back to that super speed. So I was, I had in my mind, okay, jump early, so you get a good line to the super speed, but if you do the backup, you want to jump late again, so you don't miss the gem. And now I know that and remember it.
Right. Yeah, and we know like a deathless run does not mean it's a flawless run, but a deathless run is still incredibly rare and an incredibly difficult accomplishment anyways. Spikai's last deathless run was a world record, and that was like a 34 minutes plus at the time, and then this being probably about 3 minutes faster. It shows you how much deathless is not everything, but
Yeah.
still impressive and crazy just by virtue of being deathless.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's always, a lot of that's new strats. I don't know. I don't know if I've ever actually seen Spikai's Deathless run. Maybe I have at some point. But I think, when I was first like learning the run, I think Katz's had the world record at the time, and I looked at, I watched his run to learn a lot of the strats.
Yeah, Katz had the record. I remember specifically when we did our showcase. So when you had that 46:37, that was Katz had the world record at the time. So yeah, that was after that was no longer the current world record, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't actually know that was a Deathless run until like, I don't know, until someone mentioned it at some point and I heard it and I was like, oh. But yeah, I did not realize that at first when I was first running it.
It's crazy you're still deathless here, and you're taking risks. Like you're not shying away from some of these tricky strats. And maybe there's a couple of them that you will, but it's pretty crazy what kind of strats you're going for now and still being deathless. I mean, it goes to show, like, if you're 3 minutes faster than the previous deathless run, that time is coming from somewhere. And it's coming from riskier strats, more difficult strats.
Yeah, and
strats.
I've traditionally been pretty like conservative about like learning super risky strats, but because I've always thought like, well, because I always knew like, oh, I can PB without that, which was true, but up to a point of okay, well now I'm actually like every second actually matters a lot at this point.
Yeah.
So I think I was reasonable in that, but there is some like the earlier you learn stuff, kind of the easier it is to adjust it. If you're learning something crazy hard at the end of chapter 6, then you're going to be missing runs that are a lot more impactful than if you're missing runs early on. But it is more fun to kind of finish runs, so it depends on how I feel like it's more optimal to learn strats earlier, but it can be more frustrating also, so it depends on what your goals are.
Yeah. And specific strats you have been learning as it relates to this run that aren't included in this run. Pit skip, of course, IL escalation that we saw you almost go for there, but backed out of it because you didn't have the right angle. Anything else that is like you think you really want to implement into your runs in the future?
Yeah, as far as things that are going to be new, what else? I feel like there's something. I don't know. There have been a lot of things that I just did implement for this. Like I learned the like bumper invasion, little bumper hit.
Right.
I learned that's all that's coming to mind right now. There's definitely something else, but I can't think of it. But yeah, just like
a rock skip on uphill with ways, although that didn't make
it
into this run.
Yeah, I kind of messed up the angle on that one too.
But you've got room for improvement, which is crazy because, again, deathless run, world record, and still seeing clear places where, you can take this even lower and showing that you actually have the capability to do that is crazy.
Yeah, there's certainly, I mean, especially with, there's two like 15-second mistakes, so just taking the two biggest time losses, and then also with, pit skip and IL escalation, that's another, like, almost 30, well, it is actually over 30 seconds to this pit split because I kind of messed up the ending and lost like 6 seconds. So, that's like a whole minute right there just between the two biggest mistakes plus these two hard strats. There's certainly a lot of potential left, but it's just hard to land all these stuff at this point.
Definitely. You mentioned you were nervous in this chapter 6 earlier. Olympus specifically, this is a level that you prepared for. You were so incredibly prepared for this. Why is that?
Yeah, I had just done the 100 Olympus speed run, and
So
I was very
silly.
thankful for it in this run because this Olympus definitely went off the route in a couple spots, and I was like, I remember this line. I did this a couple times in the 100 Olympus speed run, so I know what to do. So it
Yeah,
was helpful, I would say.
yeah. Top runners they practice Olympus apparently, and it's so entertaining to me that actually came into play and helped you secure this record.
Yes. Special thanks to Hiron for finally. I've been wanting to do that for a while, and Hiron finally agreed to do it with me. Well,
Yeah,
not. I mean, I wasn't just asking Hiron, but he was the one who stepped up to the plate.
yeah. Shout out Hiran. Uh, yeah. Yeah, what else can we talk about? We're doing a safer strat here on Tangle. You have learned a faster strat, but you knew that you didn't need it.
Yeah, honestly, I was just yeah, I was like, I can either do reverse tangle or first loop skip to get record, and I was like, I think I have better shot at first loop skip, so
Yeah,
that's
it's
what I
way
did
safer.
here.
Yeah. It's the great thing about live split is being able to see your best possible time there on the left, so you know what the best you can do is. So you know how much time you have to lose compared to world record if you want it. Because it shows you're 16 seconds ahead, but you're not 16 seconds ahead of the world record, just your old PB.
Yeah, and at this point, like, okay, so at the end of chapter 6, I'm always like, okay, tangle, you can just always die, so you never, I never feel like the run is like guaranteed to happen, or like I'm never like, oh, never would be devastated if it died until I'm after tangle. But then once I'm on stratosphere, like the nerves are in full effect, and my, at this point my heart was just beating super hard. I could just hear it.
Yeah. It's kind of a good feeling though, especially in hindsight, when you're like you just finished a run, and you're like, oh man, that was intense.
Yeah, and I don't even know how I got first loop skip. My head was just like empty. Like I don't even remember what I was thinking going into that. I just
Well, you
put
needed
off my
it,
brain and did it.
right?
Yeah.
You did the math, you did the subtraction, and it's like, okay, well, I know I need close to a gold. But how close to a gold? I'm actually surprised you didn't go for this last loop skip because I wouldn't have not have been that confident in my subtraction.
Yeah, I knew. I mean, I knew I had about 2 seconds of leeway if I got that, and then I was like, so I mean, like I could have PB'd without first loop skip probably, but I would needed a really good gravity skip, and I was not about to risk that super hard. So in this one, I got first loop skip saves about like a second more than the second one, so I did that, and then I figured I'd lose about a second on gravity skip because I'd probably play it safe, which happened. So
Right.
my mental maths were dead on, but they were a little bit tighter than I would hope for.
You knew exactly what you needed, and you world recorded by less than a second, which is very cool. I actually like you were able to figure out what do I need on the fly and be able to do that is actually really impressive in itself.
Yeah,
Um,
and yeah, and kind of my goal now is to get sub 31:30. So if opting out of second loop skip would have made me miss that, I would have been kind of mad about it, but it would have still been shy of that goal. So I feel like it was probably I would have I don't know it like it kind of feels bad, but I would have felt worse if I died there when I could have just held forward and got a world record.
at sub 31:30, definitely an achievable goal for you. I it sounds like from what you're saying that you're continuing to do these runs. You're planning to continue grinding at this for a little while at least. And we can find that on twitch.tv/J2_2. You really like streaming? You enjoy it?
Yeah, I like. I'm kind of bad at reading the chat and going fast in speedrunning, but I have fun. So, and I don't think I would be able to, play to the same volume I do if I wasn't streaming it.
Yeah, I for sure relate. And I have lost a fair amount of sleep in the last few weeks, staying up watching your streams. Uh, but it was totally worth it because I got to
Yeah,
see
you did get to
this
witness
run.
it live, so it paid off.
Yeah, and yeah, if anybody wants to watch more, absolutely check out G2's stream and
Yeah.
everything like that. We're not in a hurry to go though, so why don't you tell me a little bit? You know, we've been playing some Marble It Up Ultra multiplayer together quite a bit from time to time. And then there's the single player as well. How are you feeling about the future of Marble It Up?
Yeah, obviously excited for Ultra. I'm excited, like, for a time when hopefully after launch, like, there'll just be enough people in multiplayer that you can only just hop on and play some games if you want to.
Yep.
That would be cool to see. And I'm excited to try a longer category also, where, the full game's probably going to be well over an hour, which is, it'll probably, the longest speedrun I've done, you know, consistently, not counting 100 Olympus speedrun, but
That is
the
definitely going to be
longest.
the longest category. You did some Mario Odyssey as well. That was also over an hour, right?
Yeah, that was like in about around an hour 20 for me.
Yeah.
And, can go down under an hour, obviously.
I can definitely see Marble Up Ultra going below that, even for all 10 chapters.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what kind of strats get found.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to play and fun to watch that progression. Starting from scratch, I remember just like when Marble It Up launched. I remember just kind of and as well with the challenge update, almost like a feeding frenzy of all the players coming in trying to trying to be the first to find a new strat, trying to be the first to land a world record, first to land a strat with a record, and all that stuff. And I don't know, I've been waiting for so long to do that again with the next iteration of Marvel It Up.
Yeah, I never really, I wasn't doing ILs at all at the time or really finding routes, so I kind of missed out on that experience. So I'm excited to kind of experience that for the first time.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. And like you said, having people available to play with multiplayer, it's gonna be great as well. Yeah. Anything else that we should talk about here before we head out? It was such a short run that I felt like we barely had a chance to
Yeah,
do the interview. But that's kind of consequence of speedruns getting so good and so fast.
your speedrun showcases keep getting shorter with the new and improved strats and times and such.
I don't know what to do. I need to get people to start running longer categories like Ultra. Yeah,
Ultra some more
that's
time.
the real reason that we're waiting for Ultra, so we can have longer speedrunner showcases. But yeah, anything else that you'd like to say to the folks at home about your new record?
Just thanks for supporting me, guys. It means a lot, and I definitely would not have played as much as if it weren't for that.
Well, supporting you and watching you get to this point has been a real treat for me and for so much of the rest of the community as well. So glad to have you. Glad to have you here on Speedrunner Showcase as well. So exciting to have a new world record and so exciting to see where the game goes from here. Because Classic has a lot left in it. There's I feel like this game is far from over. And this category is far from over as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, we still don't know when Ultra's coming out, so it still has plenty of life left.
We could have another 5 years of Classic for all we know. No. Please no. Please no. All right. Yeah, thanks again so much, J2. We're going to sign off here. And thanks to everybody came by, watch live on twitch.tv/agedude. Thanks to everybody here on YouTube as well. And once again, make sure you go check out J2's stream and channel. They will be linked in the description. Let's sign out. See you next time.
My sister actually has a Elvis head statue in her room.
She has an Elvis head statue in her room.
Yes, she is an Elvis fan.
See, I tricked you, and the recording has already started. I just wanted to get you to talk about your sister's Elvis head in her room, as the opening of the cold open of our recording. No, that would be pretty good, wouldn't it? That's actually kind of hilarious in itself, though. That's a cool fact.
Yeah, it was like my aunt is like she works at like a media center for like an elementary school, and they had it there, and they're like getting rid of it. So she asked if my sister wanted it because she's an Elvis fan.
Oh, that's great. This is the Twitch exclusive part of the Speedrunner showcase.